Coming up on Mountain News this morning, new research shows disparities between rural and urban areas when it comes to supporting victims of domestic violence. And a city is searching for water after multiple organizations played the blame game for a utility bill.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Madison Carmouche. We are almost at that 5:30 mark this Friday morning. Let's check in with meteorologist Megan Dusmall for a look at your forecast this morning. Megan, we needed that rain, but I think a break is nice too.
Especially on a Friday, right?
Exactly, you get it.
Exactly, and it'll be nice and dry even into most of your Saturday, so that's something to look forward to as well. But before we talk about the rain, let's talk about those temperatures. So as you look outside the door this morning, we will be a little bit warmer than average, but a little bit cooler than we were yesterday, with most of the area in the 50s range. It's going to be a nice day with those temperatures only getting up to the upper 60s. Some places just hovering in that mid 60s region for today. So definitely going to be an absolutely great day. And again, it's going to be a little bit warmer as you're heading to Tennessee, as we haven't gotten much rain past couple of days. But let's take a look at that satellite and radar where you can see there will be no rain this morning, maybe a little bit of clouds as you're heading out, and definitely some fog in some parts of our area. But as you're going through the next couple hours, here's that temperature trend. We're going to see that increase in temperatures, and by the time you get to that 2 p.m. hour, you can expect to see about 68 for most of the area. So it's going to be an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll have that ARH 7-day forecast in just a couple of minutes. Madison?
All right, Megan, thank you. Kentucky State Police is conducting a death investigation following a reported overdose in Clay County. Police say Sean Gibson was arrested during a traffic stop in connection to an active warrant. He was placed in the rear seat of a patrol vehicle while troopers were investigating. Gibson reportedly consumed illicit drugs, resulting in him overdosing. Life-saving measures were attempted, but he was pronounced dead at a hospital. A Pike County man is facing charges after he was reportedly found driving under the influence with a minor inside the vehicle. The incident happened Sunday on US 23 when police noticed the tail lights and brake lights were not working on Aaron Justin Watson's vehicle. They pulled him over. Watson reportedly failed several field sobriety tests. He was taken to the Pike County Detention Center. A Corbin man is facing trespassing charges after police received a complaint. Deputies with the Laurel County Sheriff's Office were called to a business on Tuesday. Once they arrived, police found 39-year-old Troy Wagers Jr. and determined he was under the influence. Wagers was arrested and was taken to the Laurel County Correctional Center. Yesterday, a state senator presented research on domestic violence protective order cases in Kentucky before the interim joint committee on judiciary. Senator Casey Chambers Armstrong says her data was collected in 101 courtrooms throughout 76 of Kentucky's counties. As Samantha Valentino shows us, the numbers shows a stark difference in some areas of resources between urban and rural parts of the Commonwealth.
In her research on domestic violence protective order cases in Kentucky, Senator Cassie Chambers Armstrong says she hopes to answer a few questions.
Where are we under-resourcing our different types of systems? And ultimately, at the end of the day, what can we do to support survivors of domestic violence and make sure that they can navigate the court system? And all these laws we pass to support survivors mean something because people can utilize the courts for relief.
The data shows some disparities between urban and rural counties.
So we did see less representation in rural areas, less access to information about supportive services in rural areas, and some key differences in what those dockets look like and how those dockets operate across the state.
Aubrey Gerard, an attorney with the Nest, says the data highlights a need for wraparound services across urban and rural communities, a need she says she's witnessed firsthand.
I gave legal advice and representation to 309 people in the year of 2023, and I was physically able to be in court for 98 of those people.
Those people have been in both urban and rural counties. Gerard says while her clients in urban areas often struggle finding access to resources such as shelters, the pool of options is much smaller for those in rural areas.
The only thing I can give them is, well, there's resources over here in the urban county. You can come over here. Well, can they? Do they have a car? Does the aggressor let them drive their car?
When it comes to access to legal aid, Senator Chambers' data found that people in rural areas on average had to travel farther than those in urban areas.
For urban folks, those resources were about 17 minutes from their house. In rural cases, for our rural petitioners, they had to travel almost an hour to get to a legal aid office. And you can think about all the ways that that creates a barrier to folks even initiating the protective order process.
In Frankfort, Samantha Valentino, WYMT.
Senator Armstrong says she does not have any legislation drafted based on the data she presented yesterday, but she hopes it will spark a conversation about the areas the state can improve to support survivors of domestic violence. Some people in a southern Kentucky community say they've been without water for several days. At first, officials in Livingston blamed a former administration for not paying a bill to the water supplier. Then yesterday, the city started blaming Kentucky American Water for the water outage. However, Kentucky American Water says this issue is between the city and its supplier, the Wood Creek Water District.
Yeah, if it's summertime, we go down to the creek, you know, we can take a bath or whatever in the creek. But in this time of year, like I said, they're giving out bottled water. You just do the best you can.
A Livingston Water customer tells us she was told a solution has been found to the problem. She was told a partial payment is required and service should be restored by today. The Public Service Commission says they have opened an investigation into the situation. The fall forest fire in Kentucky heated up recently, and folks in the area are doing what they can to stay safe. That includes work from local fire departments who are trying to keep the communities they serve informed if fires are near them. Some fires have been popping up in the Daniel Boone National Forest. Ethan Ledford with the Manchester Fire Department says he does what he can to ensure nobody gets hurt.
So usually they're on the ball, they get there to us pretty quick. Our main goal when we respond to a forest fire is just protecting residences, businesses, anything like that. We just want to make sure that nobody loses their home or their business.
There is a burn ban in place from 6 in the morning until 6 in the evening. Folks are asked to be cautious as the fire season continues until mid-December. Governor Andy Beshear hosted a Team Kentucky update yesterday. The governor talked about several things, including flood recovery funding for one Eastern Kentucky school district. The Perry County School District will receive more than $5 million to help cover additional expenses caused by the July 2022 flood. The Buckhorn School had to be renovated, and a new Robinson Elementary is still needing to be built. Governor Andy Beshear says nearly 8,800 Kentuckians will receive training for the workforce. Some of those benefiting will be in Eastern Kentucky. There will be 219 trainees at Powell Valley Millwork in Clay City, and there will be 30 people receiving training at Progress Rail Services Corporation in Corbin. In 6 months, people ages 18 and older will need to have a real ID or another acceptable form of identification to get on a plane and access places like military bases. Officials with Transportation Security Administration say people should act now and get their real ID. They say it will ensure a seamless and efficient travel experience.
The threat articulated by the 9/11 Commission requires sound identity management to bolster Homeland Security as a critical layer of security.
The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet says the federal Real ID initiative will help keep Kentuckians connected to the rest of the country and the world. It goes into effect May 7th, 2025.